Okay, now that our dog is done, let's kind of look into possibly doing our background. You can add a sun if you want. You can put your dog in a house. You can decide what you want to do. I originally did this lesson plan as a farm theme. We learned about corgis for watercolor, and for pen and ink, we did border collies. So I'm going to stick with the farm theme. I'm going to give myself a sun here. And I'm also thinking about doing maybe some sunflowers or something. I'm not entirely sure yet. But I am going to give myself a few layers here. Let's see what I can. Actually, I might just leave this open. I don't know yet. Yep, I'm going to do sunflowers. All right, so I got my sun here. I'm going to lighten up my pencil line so I don't have to risk or worry about my sun collecting some of that pencil lead, because that would be kind of gross. All right, so let's start with a pointer brush. Okay. I want it damp. I don't want it soaking. I don't want it, too red. But I do want it damp. And I kinda and I want a lot of paint. So for my triangles and my circle, I'm going to do a really hardcore thick bold line, because I'm going to use that thick bold line. I'm going to drag some of that color into my triangle to create kind of like a glowy effect. We call this a drag and pull technique. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. All right, I'm cleaning off the extra paint on my brush, tapping it off, and then I'm going to drag some of that color into the triangles of my sun using my pointer brush. I don't want my brush to be too big, and I'm starting with my lightest color here, which is yellow, specifically because I really don't want to have to change my water if I don't have to. I'm going to add little dots of watercolor paint here, and then I'm going to switch to a medium flat. I'm going to repeat what I did with the small brush. I'm going to do with my medium flat to get the inside of my sun. And if I want to add, I don't know, like sunglasses or a smiley face on here or what have you, if I want to add that in there, I'm going to wait until my paint dries. So you see the glowy effect? You got really nice soft yellow, really bright bold outline. I love it. I love it. Yep, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a really big flat here, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a wash for the sky. I'm literally adding a strip of clean water to the surface of my paper, and then I'm grabbing some blue and I'm going to spread it out. And I'm moving my paintbrush in the same direction back and forth, so all my paint strokes go in a unified manner. You don't want them flying all over the place. It's going to confuse your viewer. Take great care around the ears and around your sun. Now if you want, you could take some paper towel and lift some of that paint up to like create like a sky if you wanted to. Totally up to you. I'm not digging the sky thing, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to smooth over what I just did there. That's called the lift technique. It's used to clean up oopsies, but it's also used to create clouds. It's just forethought there. I'm going to feather out these edges here. And I'm just going to keep going down the list here, or the shape, or my paper. And I'm going to fill in these spots using water and watercolor paint. So a layer of water and a few dots on your brush should do the trick. It depends on how intense you want your sky to be. I'm looking for a soft baby blue here. So I'm not going to spend too much time in my color palette. However, if you want like a really vibrant dark blue, like let's say you want an intense sky, then you're going to spend a little bit more time in your color palette getting that intensity. But I'm going with a really soft baby blue here, so you're not going to see me dancing around in my palette too often or for long periods of time. Just remember, less water, more paint equals darker color. More water equals thinner, lighter, less intense color. These are really simple tricks to keep in mind when you're painting. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. See that? It's hard to move in and out of there. Just take your time. Super important to take your time. Alright, so we're going to continue, or we're going to repeat what we did for the sky. We're going to repeat for the grass by doing another wash. So a strip of water and strip of paint. A strip of water, a strip of paint, and you just continue this process all the way down your piece. I like to work from top to bottom because it just makes it a lot easier to keep track of what's wet, what's not wet, and it also gives you an opportunity to be able to hang on to your piece. I don't like how the sky and the ground almost look the same when it comes to the intensity. So I'm going to add an additional layer of paint here. And I kind of want the hill to come up and around. So I'm going to move my brush in that fashion. You see how I'm going at a curve here, like a little rainbow? I'm doing that on purpose. There's a reason why I'm doing that. I am literally training my viewer's eye to move within the direction of that brush stroke to create the illusion of a hill coming in that direction. That's why I'm doing that. Everything is an illusion. When it comes to art, your brain just pieces things together with the information that is available, and if all I have for the information are a bunch of curved lines going this way, it's going to look like a hill that's wrapping up and around. Now the trick is I got to make sure that this pattern comes together as one cohesive whole. You see what I'm doing here? I'm trying not to drag some of that brown in there. And I'm trying to maintain the color. I might just leave it as is. I really like the fact that this dog, this Corgi, is like front and center. I don't want to take away from that, so I'm probably going to leave it as is and call it a day. Alright, it doesn't matter if I have green in my water because I'm going to apply green paint. So let's moisten this area and then add our additional watercolor paint. I'm going to try to have my brush strokes going in this direction. Kind of mimic that two hills are coming together. There we go. So we're going to let this dry, and while this is drying, I am going to add my tongue. So I'm going to tap off all my extra water. I'm going to pick up some red, and I'm going to dab it in here. And there's my tongue. I'll let that dry too. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to leave the sun alone or maybe put a smiley face on it. I don't know yet, but if I do put a smiley face on it, I'm either going to do black oil pastel or I'm going to do black ink because I don't want to risk my paintbrush making the eye go crazy by bleeding out or what have you. So that, my friend, is how we do a Corgi using watercolor. Stay tuned for our next lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the classroom.